So excited for today's guest, a guy I've gotten to know the last couple years, and I kick myself because I feel like we would have been fast friends 10 years ago, but we had never been introduced, and now we know each other, and he is going to be a household name this season for sure as the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Joining us from beautiful Washington State, Coach Dave Canales. Dave, what's going on, man?
What's up, Peter? Thanks, man. Thanks for having me here. It's I'm really excited. I'm here in my happy place, just trying to gather my all my excitement, the dreams and the vision that I have, and just trying to make sure that, it fits this group and what we're doing. But this has been unbelievable roller coaster of a spring, and I'm excited to just catch up with you here.
Yeah, the ride is so cool. We always talk about it's not the destination, it's the journey, but you're right. Everyone thinks, oh, well, he came out of nowhere. He was the offensive coordinator of the Bucks, and now he's after 1 year doing that. He's the coach of the dude. You have had a journey. Can we start way at the beginning and getting to know Dave Canales, like way in the beginning?
Sure.
As Azusa Pacific, where are we starting? Where do you
Yeah.
want to start? Where
Yeah.
where do you find yourself when you think of your football journey? Like day one and the big break of okay, I can actually do this for a living.
Yeah. Shoot, if I start at APU, it's probably 2 years of injuries back to back, and like, how can I help? How can I serve? And we had a bunch of freshmen and we had some transfers, and I said, okay, well, if I'm going to be out, I can at least contribute. And that's kind of where my coaching started, and the coaching staff trusted me a lot with the information. So I'm running around just kind of helping out. And I really fell in love with it then, and then um, but fast forward quickly to high school football. I really wanted to be a sports trainer. I wanted to do the whole um, sports performance facility, that whole thing. Bring skill players in, football players in, and get them ready for their seasons. And so that's kind of how it started. And five kids, a bench press, and a wooden squat rack. We went to Pasadena, California, to a 24-hour fitness. Spent about
Yes.
150 bucks in a U-Haul. We had a friend, they were giving away all their plates,
Yeah.
bars, dumbbell racks for a tax write-off, so I said, okay, we'll take it. So we got a U-Haul, loaded it up, um and just put it all in a back warehouse at my dad's church. And it started off with about five kids. Five became 15, became 30
And you're running
some
these
odd.
classes. You're the
Yeah.
head guy.
Yeah. And myself, my cousin-in-law, Kevin Nickerson, who's the chaplain actually for the Rams.
Okay.
And then my brother, Josh, who's the senior pastor at my dad's church, he took over. So it's the three of us with the dream. And we had like a 2, 5, 10 year plan. And we started training kids. And then one of the kids we were training, their parents were like, hey, the JV head coaching job's open at the high school.
This is
You
amazing.
should check it out. And so the coach and I had a conversation. He lured me out there, and like, that was it. I knew as soon as I got out there, um, planning practices, loving on the guys, it kind of just brought it all together. So, and then from there, my wife just said, hey, you're really good at this. The players respond to you. The coaches love working with you. I can tell how much you love this. She was like, just go for it. Let's just see what happens. Let's give it 5 years, and let's see if we land a job somewhere. And so I started to try to work my connections with college, and that's kind of how I ended up at El Camino College. And then Steve Sarkisian's connection there ended up getting me to USC with
And
Pete.
I
So
think that's so Pete Carroll hires you in '09, but you're not hired as a quarterbacks coach or a wide receivers coach. You go back to your roots in the training staff, right? Is that where you came in with the USC?
yeah, I was a weight room, and then like slash video assistant. So, the weight room thing, my background there was kind of helped me get in the door, and I'm just setting up cones.
Yeah.
I wasn't running any of the programs. I was putting bags out there, setting up cones, summer workouts. And then the video assistant thing was just like, the hours, the dark room, the hours and hours of film. And here, as your reward, you get to sit in the quarterback meetings. So
Yeah.
it was really cool. And it just was 1 year before Pete, took off in the middle of the night, to go to
Totally.
Seattle.
So is it like that 1 year? Is that Sanchez? Who's the quarterback when you're there? Is it Booty? Who are we working with?
that was Barkley. That was Matt
Matt
Barkley
Barkley.
as a freshman. Yeah. And
Amazing.
yeah. So
Still, in
eight
the,
and
still,
four
still
that
in the
year.
league. Still in the league, by the way, Matt Barkley.
Yeah, I know. I get to run into him in a different jersey every year. So,
Yeah, right.
it's just like, what's up, Barks?
It's so good. All right. So Pete goes to the Seahawks. He takes you with him, or are you stuck at USC?
So I'm there. I'm there. I'm stuck at SC for a couple weeks. I don't really know what's going to happen. And then it was a couple weeks later that I got the phone call. And like the kind of the holy crap microcosm moment was I was sitting in the war room, if you will, like the recruiting room,
Yeah.
um, with Lane Kiffin, Ed Ogeron.
Yep.
We're watching junior college film
Uh,
from a year and a half ago. Okay,
okay.
so and it's El Camino College against College of the Canyons. We're watching a defensive lineman from College of the Canyons playoff game, and he had like a 2 year highlight. So I'm sitting there with them. We're watching El Camino play College of the Canyons. I can see me on the sideline,
You can see
and I've got
yourself on the video at El
yeah,
Camino.
yes, with a visor, khaki shorts and a polo, and like uh, which by the way they should bring back into coaching
100%. Like
the
that's a
golf short.
look. It's such a good
It's
look.
so comfortable. And then anyway, so I'm sitting there doing that, and like literally 2 days before I'd been offered to go to the Seattle Seahawks as quality control. So really it's just like this
You're
amazing,
watching yourself coaching
yes,
community, or not community, but junior college at a level that no one would ever watch on television. And then the official Seattle Seahawks phone line calls, and you're like, this has been 2 years, or what an
yeah,
amazing 24 months.
yes. You said that a lot better than I did, but it just kind of all it's just a microcosm. And I'm sitting there just like, wow, like just really just humbled and floored with like this is all just circumstantially, for me, of course, I'm a man of faith. And I just was like, wow, look what God did in this short order. And I had like literally nothing to do with it. Like there wasn't because I
Yeah,
was like the best,
yeah.
junior college quarterbacks coach, or like I was killing it, setting up cones and bags at SC. It was just being in the right place at the right time, and then just being responsible with the moment and the opportunities to work hard, to treat people well, and to connect. And it's like just it's just crazy. So
Well, you're cutting your own attributes short a little bit there. You're also, everyone who's ever worked with you says, just an amazing guy to have in the room, juice, energy, and obviously Pete identified that in you because he could have taken 30 people from his past and he chose you as
yeah,
one of many. Now you get to Seattle and people forget this. Those first, I think that first training camp in Seattle, you guys had like 200 people walk through the door. It was like a tryout. I remember
yeah,
covering it for for
yeah,
foxsports.com, and it being like, there is just bodies after bodies. And like Pete Carroll is running this like it's almost like a high school team. Like, who wants to make this? They've got their veterans, but it was an open door. And I kind of love that approach to rebuilding and starting a new era of an NFL team.
yeah. I love the approach that Pete brought of just like, you're either competing or you're not, and he showed up to a roster that he was not fired up about. And it's just like, okay, well, we know we have these guys, and right after that, the depth chart falls off pretty quickly. We might as well just see more people. We might as well bring more guys in, and that I think it was like 250 transactions. Like,
That's what it was. I think it was 88
yeah,
bodies or something came through,
yeah,
like new bodies at top of the
yeah,
90. Like, it was nuts.
yeah. And it's cool. And I think he was just challenging the roster to see like, okay, well, we know these other guys. What about some of, let's just keep getting our eyes on them. So I remember that was crazy.
Yeah, and the gig early on in Seattle was on the strength side, or was this on the coaching side? You've now become one of the quarterbacks coaches and you're already in that role.
It was quality control, and I really still was not. It was more of a production type of
Yeah, wearing a
role
lot
in
of
term.
hats,
Yeah,
just
playbook,
doing.
video, calendar, schedules, all that kind of stuff. I really was so overwhelmed with all of those things. I didn't really have a lot of time to be coaching for about the first year,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Now, as you embark on this first year as a head coach with a Carolina Panthers team that finished with the worst record in the NFL, do you try to tap into those memories from 15 years ago, just getting to Seattle and maybe how Pete
Yeah.
established culture and said, here are the ground rules. Here's what we're gonna do because this is a new era and we are gonna build it this way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the heart and the mindset that I come in and I take from Pete and from those early years is number one is I didn't get here because the roster was established. I didn't get here because of excellence and all that. Typically, you're getting your first job because there were things that need attention and need to be addressed. And so I think the openness to see who those players are going to be, to see, to really just be willing to try things, to find our niche find our personality as a team, but also to find the players, like we need to be active. We need to have our eyes and ears to the ground for players that can help us. And so, I have an eagerness to kind of see. I'm that's one of my excitements about coming back is like I wonder who it's going to be. Like who are those guys
Yeah.
that we have in our building? If we can just put a good football product out there and a platform for them to perform, the stars will show up. But then who are those other guys? Because I just live in a possibilities type
Yeah.
of world. My world is about possibilities, and I know there were late round draft pick, free agent, rookie free agents, veteran free agents who were like, I'm now ready to do this thing that made an impact further than anything anyone could ever have imagined for their careers in Seattle. I watched it happen in Tampa last year too. And so I get excited about the untold stories going into this year.
Give me a Seattle guy that you saw walk through the door, maybe not as heralded, and I'm not going to even start because I could list you 20 that I saw firsthand that took the opportunity, grasped it, and then took to coaching and made a career for himself that maybe walking in the door not everyone anticipated.
Yeah, right off the bat, Doug Baldwin,
Yeah.
Jermaine Curse, who really had a fantastic junior year and then really had some struggles his senior year, had some drops and people were down on him. Um and I just see like the guy, the competitor he was, the determination he had, and an environment, and I credit Pete for this, but an
Mm-hmm.
environment that said it didn't say, "Hey, just take a number and get in line." It said, "I'm not in your way. Who wants to play?
Go,
Who wants to
go
make
get
plays for
it.
this?" Exactly. And so that's just kind of sometimes it's just that permission that a player needs. I think of David Moore, who we actually have
Yeah.
in Charlotte. He was a seventh round pick, and we drafted a guy in the fourth round, but because of our model of like, guys, just show us who you are, we'll figure out who goes where and who plays. There's a bunch of them, man. Gary
Yeah.
Gilliam was a tight end. We turned into a tackle,
Yeah.
became
He
a
played tackle.
starter,
It was very good.
you know. Um,
George
Shoot.
Fant, right? That was one where
Yeah,
you
George, another, Western
Western
Kentucky
Kentucky.
basketball background, ends up, still playing tackle, in the
Mm-hmm.
league and started last year some. But yeah, I can rattle off another
Yeah.
probably 30 or 40 guys. So
Yeah. So you spend time in Seattle, then Russell Wilson gets dropped in your laps as a third round pick. Take us through that summer because I remember the late Travaris Jackson was a great player and Matt Flynn was the big free agent signing. And
yeah.
it's not common that a coach and a GM would say, "Hey, may the best man win at quarterback," especially after the GM penned, Matt Flynn to one of the biggest deals a free agent quarterback got that offseason.
Yeah, let's go record straight first. John Schneider was the one most fired up about Russell.
Okay.
The rest of us, he grew on us
Mm-hmm.
throughout the process, the spring process leading up to the draft. But I got to be honest, when we drafted him in the third round, like there wasn't this explosion of excitement in the building. It was like, oh, okay, yeah,
Remember him?
well,
I know him in college. Yeah.
hey, he's pretty good. He's pretty
Yeah.
good, and the guy's like, he competes his ass off. Like we knew he had all the makeup, but I think John really had the vision for who he was, and then Pete kind of warmed up, and then because of who Pete is, what he believed, the more he got to know the guy, he's like, okay, this is a special guy, you know? And, but like the rest of us were like, oh, okay. And a cool draft story. So my wife's 9 months, no, not 9 months.
That would be, yeah.
She was 28. She was 28. Let's see,
Weeks.
40. Yeah. I'm trying to think. No, 35. She was 35 weeks pregnant. So,
Okay, she's right there.
so yeah, but it's pretty early anyway. So we have like an install that morning, it's the second day of the draft. So, she calls me from the gym. She's like, I don't feel right. So I go home, take her to the hospital and get her all checked in, settled in. They're like, hey, it's going to be a while. You're probably not going to have this baby today, but you're going to have to be on bed rest. So I'm like, okay, she's all settled in. I go back to the office, of course.
Yes,
Rookie dad, rookie dad. But so I go back to the office. I'm sitting there, and then the rounds are going. We draft Russell Wilson. It's like, oh, okay, great. We got a quarterback. Let's see what happens with this whole story. And then I end up going back to the hospital, just hang out with her. And as I get there, they're like, just kidding. Your baby's showing up today. So
what?
so two men that will forever change my life. April 27th. Let's see, what year was that? That would have been 2012.
2012? Yeah.
April 27th, 2012. Russell Wilson, Benjamin Canales, two men who would like forever change my
I
life,
love this.
who I love, just like all on one day. It's just unbelievable. So
That's
anyway,
so good, dude. I love that. And you'll
didn't
forever
know it at the time.
yeah, you'll forever be linked. And Ben will
Yeah.
forever be linked to
Yes.
Russell. I'm sure he's wearing the jersey no matter what team he's on.
Loves and didn't know it at the time, right? Like, but so to that point, in a nutshell, Russell comes in. I'll never forget this. So Pete tells Tavares, like, the reps are gonna go to Matt Flynn and Russell. We've
Mm.
seen you for a year. We've seen your career in Minnesota. We know what you can do. And he's under contract and all that. He's like, preseason, you're not gonna play much. Training camp, you're gonna get the third reps because we got to see Matt and Russell kind of see what they can do. And really the thing that separated Russ from the beginning, which guys kind of rolled their eyes at first, but he knew what he wanted to do. And then he would talk to the guys like, wasn't 22, he was like 24 or 25 something. And he'd be like, hey, on this backside of this route, Sidney Rice, be ready for this if they rotate
And
away
Sydney's
from it.
like, I'm a 5-year veteran. Like, bro, like, don't
Yeah.
tell me. Yeah,
And
I love
Sydney's
this.
like, there's some eye rolling and like, and then he'd go out there and rip it. And he meant it. And he would, he was driving himself. He's so hard on himself. He's just outworking people. He had a mindset for where he was going. And he was telling us, I'm here and I'm serious about this. I'm not going to just take a number. I'm not going to just fall into where people think I should. There's no should here. I got a plan. I'm going this way. Who wants to come? And so it was pretty clear, the person, that of how he was driven. And then it all kind of came together, preseason, going to the Chiefs, and Matt had like elbow tendonitis.
Okay.
So we started Russ that day, and the ball moved. We scored points. Again, it was like the third week in a row that happened, and he just kept, every time he'd go in, the ball would move. We put points up on the board, and it was like, could this be real? So, but it was really fun. It was a real challenge. We dove full. We took all the notes and the stats, and it was a really cool time.
Yeah, in an amazing era with Russell Wilson. Obviously, all the Pro Bowls, the All Pros, the playoff appearances. You guys win a Super Bowl. You
Yep.
compete in another. And then Russell leaves, and
Yeah.
here's Geno Smith as a quarterback, a guy who's been around the league. Like you were talking about Tavares Jackson. We kind of know what Geno Smith is, and yet he joins the Seattle Seahawks and has this incredible backup run, and then amazing year under you as a starter. What do you remember of the Geno Smith, time where he gets the torch and it's his time to take it?
Yeah, it was cool. It was a celebration of a couple of years of conversations, work, study. Brian Schottenheimer really kind of starting that deal with Geno and like really cleaning Geno up fundamentally. We just for fun before we left, we watched training camp, coming into training camp, and like there were some little things that he cleaned up from a technical standpoint, but like I mean the guy was like 78% completion in his first camp with the Seahawks,
Is
as
that
a
right?
backup to
Even
oh
with
my
Russ
gosh.
there, Russ is
Yeah.
there killing it, and
Yes.
like it's
So
still like,
so he yeah, and he clearly was a veteran. He knew where the ball was supposed to go. No one throws a prettier ball than Geno Smith. Just it spins tight. He's accurate. Like he's got the right amount of zip, but he's got touch. Like he's so all those things were there, and it was just, but we had Russ, right? So
yeah,
you don't even take your brain there immediately. But so then just the celebration of a couple of years of work, of conversations, of Geno saying, I know I still got it. If once I get a chance, this is how I'm gonna do it. Like he was like forward thinking with his words. He was super he had a lot of belief still in his own ability and his talent. And so as I come along, really it was just about like for me, I was there kind of through the whole process. And then once I get Geno, I'm just there to just like maintain and reinforce
yeah.
you're a badass.
Dude,
You're a
you can do
badass.
this.
Yeah, you belong here. Like keep your head up. Bad things are gonna happen. But look, you're leading everybody. They're looking to you now. Just for me, it was just from a personal standpoint, like big picture life philosophy. How does football fit into this? How do I fit in as a leader, as a veteran guy? A lot of those things, and then just polishing the stuff that he was already working on those last 2 years. So just giving Shadi a lot of credit for really helping Geno, helping me to just kind of get a plan together, and then for us to just be there to celebrate it together. It was really cool.
He had an awesome season. How many years in Seattle were you?
13.
13 years.
Yeah.
Welcome in. Hey, there's an opportunity in Tampa. It had to be hard to leave your family. I mean, how rare is it that anybody in this coaching life can see their kids go to the same schools, have the friends, and not have to uproot their lives every other year? But you had that opportunity, and you were there in Seattle, and you were doing that. And then Tampa calls, and you left, obviously for an amazing opportunity. Can you take us through that part of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Just, you know, they the coolest part about the whole thing was it didn't come along by really reaching out and striving for trying to like create a job. It was really just um and thankfully for Pete and for a bunch of great players, it was really a natural process. Just I bounced around. I coached receivers, I coached quarterbacks, I was pass game coordinator, so I got to step out of the position room and kind of watch the offensive coordinator do his thing. And so I'm just collecting all these lessons, watching Pete, like in those years where I was pass game coordinator, when you're not coaching a position directly, you get to help a lot. If you can take that kind of mindset, just like help serve, make extra cut ups. So how can I help? How can I do these things? But then I can also take a step back and say, look at Pete and the decisions he makes. Look how he schedules his day. Look how the coordinator does these
Yeah.
different rhythms. So, like, I don't think there could have been a guy more ready for his first offensive coordinator job than me in last
You've
year.
been in, and that was almost, you're not one of these guys that maybe you are saying, well, why not me? Why have I not been were you one of those? Did you start wondering after 5, 7, 6,
I
whatever it is?
Yeah, I did actually. I did, and I realized it didn't get me anywhere. And so I was either gonna like agent up, let's push this thing, let's just go get a job,
Yep.
or I can say, man, I've got this sweet opportunity here. Let's raise our kids. Let's be here, kind of see the NFL evolve over the 13 years from one spot, with one lens, with Pete Carroll win forever philosophy lens, like so that was really special, but I try to go there and I just felt like it was really like contrived and I was trying to force something and I was like, okay, hold on. Let's just be here. And like even the summer before I got the Tampa job, we're actually right up here where I'm at right now in White Salmon, Washington, and we're sitting. We actually hiked Mount Adams, the beautiful hike here, snow capped year round, and we're at the top. And my wife and I are sitting up there, and we're like, okay, we're home. We're never going anywhere. this is
Yeah.
us.
This
And
is
just
content
like,
feeling of like, hey, this
yeah,
is the lot and guess what? We're blessed. It's amazing.
yeah,
And we're happy here. And then within 12 months, the call from
boom.
Tampa comes.
Yeah.
Who makes that call? Is it Jason Light? Is it Todd Bowles? How's it all go down?
Yeah, it was Todd, and then it started off as a Zoom, and then it turned into an in-person interview. And I spent probably 4 or 5 hours with Todd, just kind of going through all the different things that you would need to organize and talk about from an offensive standpoint. And I was like I want to say I was his 13th or 14th offensive coordinator. Um,
Interview?
Potential.
Interview
Yeah,
for real.
I was
Wow.
like interview number 13 or 14. So
Hmm.
there's a good and a bad to that, right? The good part is hopefully like he's kind of like worn out. Maybe I can like bang,
Yeah, especially with your juice. Yeah.
just try to wake him up a little bit here. And then the downside of it was like I could tell he was like completely gassed
Yeah.
with the whole process and just
Yeah.
like,
Just
oh
just
man, like it got how many more of these do we have? But what a thorough process to just like, talk to everybody and just accumulate it. But so anyway, it was we had a great time. Um the philosophies, I think what I learned now, just over the last couple of years talking to a couple different coaches is just the personalities are different. What they're after is the same. Okay, we take care of the
what a
football.
great phrase. The personalities, what they're all after is the same. Like we all want to
Yeah,
win.
they're after the same thing. It's like the principles of take care of the ball, minimize explosives on defense, play hard, toughness, like all the same principles, just how you bring it about and what environment you create to get those principles across. I guess just a different, but yeah, I could tell coming out of the interview that the principles aligned. And hopefully I was able to show him like this may be my first job that I'm interviewing for, but I've been waiting for this for a long time. And so and then that's, you know, kind of how this whole thing has gone pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, and I gotta say, you probably joined in January, I would imagine, early February.
Hmm.
That Tampa job. They s- they're in the post Brady mode where it's just like this, like wait and see what's Brady gonna do. No one expected anything from the Buccaneers a year ago, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And you get another cool project. You talked about Geno Smith, but here comes a Heisman Trophy winner who has taken the league by storm, was one of the featured guys in the NFL 100 campaign. And what many thought was his last stop, Baker Mayfield walks in the door. Uh, Talk about that union and how the two of you guys gelled.
Yeah, I mean, so 2 years in a row, it's a full-on quarterback competition.
Yep.
So it was Geno and Drew Lock, and then it was Baker and Kyle Trask. And I knew it was going to be so important for Baker to earn that job, to win that job. Um, and I think immediately what I noticed about him coming in was this like humility. And I didn't know him from before. I had never met him. And um, I just saw some of the ups and downs of his career in the NFL and college and kind of saw this personality, and I didn't really know what to expect. Um, and so as we started talking, I just felt this like huge hunger and this humility of like I'll do whatever I need to do. I'll learn whatever I need to learn for this opportunity. And it was this really high regard for the opportunity to be there. And so it was really cool for he and I to just kind of sit down early in the process and just go, yeah, me too. Like we just kind of like, isn't this
Yeah.
great? Isn't this great what we get to do here? Like we just shoot, man, let's get the basics down to good football. Let's just have a blast doing it. And
Right.
that's really what happened.
I love that. And you guys have this incredible run. You win a playoff game. Uh, Head coaching opportunity. Was that in your, I mean, even when you're with Pete and you're watching him, and even when you take this offensive coordinator job and you're like, look, if we have a good Panthers, they also interviewed about 14 people for this head coaching job. And
Yeah.
hey, will you do a Zoom with David Tepper and whoever else? And what's your thoughts when you get that call?
Yeah, I mean, floored, like, but also like I wasn't surprised. I thought, look at the opportunity, with especially with Baker and especially with Geno, it was like that wasn't what was driving me, but I could see how the contrast of the expectation and then the performance.
Yeah.
I knew like nobody expected anything out of Geno. Well, when we get him playing well, that's going to create some noise. And then Baker comes in here and everyone's like, yeah, it's Baker Mayfield, whatever.
We've seen it.
And it's like,
Yeah.
right. And then when the product exceeds expectation, I knew that's just going to naturally grab attention. Tampa, post Tom Brady, all that, like low expectations, 3 to 5 wins. People are just like throwing stuff out there, like nobody expects anything from them. So I just knew like this is a setup that when we do have success, it's going to cause some noise. It's going to create some attention. Just be ready,
Yeah.
be ready and make sure I have my ducks in a row. And so that if I do get those phone calls at some point, I'm ready. I have my stuff organized. And so, like super, like not taken by surprise on the situation, but also just like wasn't just focusing on that. Cause it's not like, you're on a championship team and it's like people are after you as a coordinator. It's like nobody knows who I am
Yeah.
pretty much,
No
so
doubt.
um but and that was fun too, because just here we go, just another challenge.
Yeah.
So it's like Geno's story, Baker's story, Panther's story. It's like here's just another great opportunity for a group of guys and women to come together and say, why not us? Let's
Right.
just play good football and let's just see what happens and see where it takes us.
So now you're, what is it? It's June right now. You're about 5 months into this thing. Why not the Panthers? Take us through the Panthers and what you've seen so far and how the Dave Canales era has begun.
Yeah, a great core group of veteran players, um, with a super high football character. Um, I don't know them all really closely on a personal level, but I say football character because they're the types of guys that you want when they're in the building. They
Mhm.
treat each other with respect, with love and respect. They treat everyone in the building well. They work their tails off in the weight room. Like they really go for it on the football field. Like so there's, it's Shaq Thompson, it's Derek Brown, who's still pretty young, but he's got some years, Chuba Hubbard, Adam Thielen, Andy Dalton, Taylor Moton, our right tackle, Josie Jewell, who we got from Denver,
Yeah.
Jordan Fuller, Nick Scott, Xavier Woods. Like there's
Guys who have
so
been
many.
around the league. Yeah.
Yes, there's so many veteran players with high football character that's the locker room culture is fantastic.
Great.
It's that part is established, and then you combine that with young talent, some veteran talent. You bring in guys like Jadeveon Clowney, Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, Dane Jackson, some of the safeties I talked about. So, and then a couple of the early draft picks, Xavier Legette, Jonathan Brooks, Trevin Wallace, Jatavian Sanders. So I see a great combination of some experience, high football character, some talent in spots. Now, there's a reason. There's a reason that we were 2-15, and we have to continue to like bring more talent into our roster so that you fill out the depth of it,
Mhm.
and the great teams that I've been on in Seattle over the years, up and down, the great ones, you had depth, and so I think that's really where we are is can we establish our starters? Can we develop depth? And we got a ways to go, you know.
Yeah. What's
But
your message to them? Because like Sean Payton last year, whether you love him or not, I worked with him at Fox, so I have a relationship with him. He came in there and he dropped a couple bombs in the media to try to inspire his guys, talking about the previous coaching staff. That was a downtrodden group when he got there and he was trying to light a
yeah,
fire. What do you do to a squad that was 2-15s looking in the locker room and saying, are we, what are we? What do you do as a
yeah.
new coach? How do you inspire them with words?
Yeah, I think to put it simply, I just said we just need to get our football right. And the comment there was what I was trying to do, what I'm still trying to do with that is like, forget about the side stories, guys. Like, if we can just play good football, the side stories, the headlines will write themselves. But can we just get our football right? And that really was just a reflection on like it wasn't the greatest brand of offensive football.
Hmm.
It was there were things up front, there were things schematically that we needed to work on. And that wasn't to NFL standard and certainly not to Carolina Panthers 2024 standard. The defensive side of the football was excellent, and there was still things to improve on. There's still nuances to grow through. Special teams was solid. So it's just like if we can just get all three phases up to snuff and get us all on the
We'll
same
compete.
playing field, then we will compete and we will be able to, and our talent will be able to be showcased better if we can just have a foundation. And so, and I was like, can we do that? Can we take care of the football?
Yes.
Can we try to take it away on defense? And can we just execute the most fundamental part of our technique and our scheme? If we can do that, guys, one game at a time, then we give ourselves a chance
Are
to
you
be
excited?
successful.
I mean, are you loving this?
I'm so excited, and I'm excited because I can see the challenge. To your point of, I can see the challenge of going through the hard times and
Yep.
saying we're going to be consistent on our messaging, guys. We're going somewhere. Let's trust it. Let's fix this. Let's fix these simple things. I'll show it to you. I'm excited about just giving them that consistency in messaging and really pairing that with the character, the team that we have to go, okay, everyone, let's take a deep breath. Let's exhale here. Let's just take the next step. So I'm really excited for that.
And you've done all this work with these great quarterbacks, and I wouldn't say they're reclamation projects because you were saying yourself, Geno was ready and Baker had it. What's the message with Bryce Young, who had a very rough rookie season?
Yeah, I think the biggest part with Bryce is, for me at least, this is my first year with Bryce Young. I get him
Mhm.
after having 16 games under his belt. So I think that's the coolest part for me is rarely do you ever get your young quarterback with
A little
NFL
experience.
experience already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me, I know he's not a rookie. I know that he's a rookie to me. Like we're both here together for the first time. So we start this whole system over. We put in this offense together for the first time, and he's had some live reps. He's had a bunch of live experiences that I can draw from. And like I'm just excited about the talent. It's everything that we saw from over a year ago when we're doing the draft evaluation. It's all there. It's
Yeah.
all still there. So it's just like, wait, the guy's athletic. He can get the ball out quickly. He's a leader. He communicates well. It's like, oh, he's got everything we need. Okay, Bryce, just do your part. Do your 111th. Just do your quarterback part. You're the point guard. Okay. And then we'll let everybody else do all theirs. And we can dissolve the pressure of like you got to lead, you got to do this and all that, and
Totally.
you're the one. No, it's just not true. I have not seen that model of football work and win in Seattle. We didn't put it all on Russell's plate, so that's not the model that we're going to try to create in Carolina. It's like, no, just do your part. It takes a whole team. So
My armchair quarterback outside looking in. Free agency, you guys built up that line. You got great protection inside, which I thought was important. And then in the
yeah.
draft with Leggett and Brooks and Sanders, who you mentioned, he's got some more skill position players. Like the offense should be significantly better just based on that alone.
Yeah, I would agree. And it all starts with the run game, and so the having Robert and Damian in there, because I love our backfield, and then adding Jonathan Brooks, who just,
Mm,
an opportunity came to us with a really talented guy, and then just again depth, talent, just keep adding key pieces, challenge your roster, so that was what this draft and this offseason was all about. But I feel confident that we'll be able to to have a successful run game, which for me opens everything else up and helps their down and it helps move the ball. And give you more opportunities.
You know, it's dangerous asking about ownership with coaches because of whatever, but like I have gotten to
Yeah.
know David Tepper. I know he's super excited about you. What's that dynamic so far been like with David and Nicole, who plays a big role as well?
That's been fantastic. I see a couple who is really passionate about their team, and sometimes Nicole more than David. She just like absolutely loves Panthers football and the whole thing, the community. Like she's like so fired up to like serve and find like who can we bless, who can we go and like spread this, and so that's kind of like her deal is like I just want to come out to practice and enjoy the energy of what I'm seeing, and hopefully that's what they've seen. And with David, just to be able to be with him and pick his brain and like lean on the successes that he's had. He's unbelievably successful in terms of like when we think of leadership and all those things. And I just like I'm able to kind of sit with him and watch him just like courageously bring us together. Okay, let's evaluate free agency. Let's evaluate the draft process. How did that go, guys? How was it? Like what went well? What didn't go well? Why not? And just like there's no blame, there's none of that. It's just like, can we speak the truth? Can we go into things with our eyes open and courageously say, okay, this didn't work. Bang, let's fix it. Let's move forward. His encouragement to us has been like when you can really see, when you can really look at the things that you don't do well and the things that you do well, and you can grow quickly, then that's how we find success. And so it's been really cool to just kind of learn that whole side of it from him.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of research and talked to him about his Wall Street successes, and you, he's not this guy doesn't lose, and he bets on
Yeah.
himself, and that's what
Yeah.
people say like, oh, what's going on with the Panthers? I'm like, I wouldn't bet against Tepper, and I wouldn't bet
Yeah.
against Canales. These are two guys who seem to be on the same page right now, and I wouldn't bet against Bryce Young either.
Yeah. I mean, I think I guess one of the things for me when when he hired me was I go, here's a guy who makes a living projecting and probably taking things and getting them right before they're at their full value.
Mhm.
And I just kind of looked at that and I was like, okay, so he's got confidence in me that I have a chance to do this. Now I know I'm his third coach in a pretty short time. And there's been, and especially the last staff, that was a quick decision,
Yep.
but I come into this thing and I go, okay, but he sees something in me. He's really excited. And so I think that's just an encouragement for me to go, all right, thank you for recognizing, thank you for seeing me. Thank you for seeing this work and the stuff that's happening here. And for believing and giving me a chance to do it. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it
It
just kind of like
does. It
it,
does.
it's
You're
yeah,
the housing crisis or your COVID,
right.
all the things that he bet on before everyone else
Right.
did. You might be that, and let's hope it works out for everybody. Okay, quick questions, and we're gonna wrap because I know you're giving me
Yeah.
a lot of your time here. You openly talk about your faith and your
Yeah.
father and what you know religion and church means to you. How has that helped you along the way in moments where there might be doubt or there might be questions about what the future, lays out for you?
Yeah, super critical. And um this is where I'm able to come into difficult situations. And number one, because my identity isn't football. My identity, football is not first and foremost in my life. And like this is where I make all my decisions about. This is what, really makes me. So I'm able to come into challenging situations with a little better understanding of like, yeah, this is scary, but this is also not like this. It's not going to make or break me as a human, in my identity in Christ, and my identity with the Lord is so I'm able to courageously just say, yeah, let's go for it. Okay, another great opportunity. Yeah, let's go for it. The possibilities are endless, and just and then in those situations, I think the part that I've had to lean on the most, especially over the last year, in Tampa, we lost 6 out of 7 games right in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I know.
So we lost four straight, 6 out of 7. and to be able to just show up and be the same guy every
Mm.
day. Because what's most important to me as I come into this building is that I love and respect the people I work with, that I'm honorable, that I do my best work, that I honor God, Colossians 3:23, whatever you do it as if unto the Lord. And so for me, it's just I look at the situation and I go, okay, but I get to lead by example by just pouring into my work, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of what headline was just written about us and low expectations. I don't care. Come in here, love people, work hard, and then just leave the rest up to the Lord. And that's been such a huge thing for me, especially when we were losing. And
Yeah.
like, I wanted to make it about me. How do I fix this? How do I control this? How do I help this part? How do I do this? I do this, I do that. And it's just like, it's not about me. It's
Mm.
not about me. And I don't control all the outcomes. So just work hard and treat people well and love people. And the right outcome will happen
Yeah.
based on our ability to teach it, our talent level of our players, that will take care of all of these things if I just continue to just honor it. And so it keeps it from making it really personal, towards others or towards myself, and just allows me to just stay steady and consistent throughout it. I'm going to need that for sure this year.
You will. You will. My last question. Let's go back to that kid coming out of college who's got the weights and a few plates, and it was a tax write-off for somebody else. And you're like, let's run a little gym over here. Let's do our own thing. Um, put yourself in that guy's shoes and have him look at the life that you've lived and the career that you've had. Um, what would you say your one piece of advice to that kid now, knowing what you know? What would you tell that kid back then, if he said to you, hey, someday I'd like to get involved in coaching? What would be your guidance?
Um, I would say you're doing great. I'd say you're doing great because it started with loving people, and it just started with going back to a community that needed something. They needed what I learned in college. They needed that encouragement, and they needed some place to be that wasn't out on the streets doing crazy stuff. And so I think I would just encourage that guy to just keep loving people and just meet needs. And like that's kind of been the roadmap to getting here, is just filling voids and meeting needs along the way, and not being afraid to step into roles I might not have been completely equipped for, but to say I'll learn what I need to learn. So just I think just the courage, I would just encourage that guy, just and then I would probably smack him around and tell him to like really pay more attention to your wife too, by the way, because she's amazing. And I wouldn't want to lose all those years. That's probably more of the stuff that I would spend time.
The personal
Uh,
life, the being with the family
yeah,
and not living in the office, that kind of stuff.
yeah, not living in the office and just not making stupid decisions like in my marriage, and
Hmm.
stuff that my wife and I went through, that my decisions took us through, that could have been avoided just by taking myself out of certain situations. And so I think I would probably just I would probably spend most of my time there talking to that guy.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, we have a lot of coaches on. Like, there's so much toxicity in our world, and I turn on, some of the television channels. Even when we're talking about sports, it's this guy sucks. This guy can't win the big one. Dave, I talk to you. I feel like there's a light. Like I feel lifted. I'm not trying to blow tires into your blow air into your tires here, but like you have a very soothing and encouraging way about you that I think is very contagious.
I appreciate it, Peter. I feel the same way. Whenever you send me a text or give me a call or whatever, it always starts off with something super uplifting, and it's just a reminder, like, yeah, life is really good, isn't it? Even when it's hard, it's like still good,
Yeah.
and so I really appreciate that about you too. It's really encouraging.
Okay, so go enjoy Mount Adams. Did I get that right? Mount Adams?
Yep, yep, yep.
Go enjoy Mount Adams, the beautiful Washington country. You're talking to a city slicker right here. You're talking about hikes and
Me
all these
too.
things. I'm like, I don't know about all that, but you seem to be able to unplug and get to the mountains. And gosh, you're up right now. And for the listeners who are listening to this, it's 7:30 Pacific. And Dave said, sure, let's do it. And let's start the way that way. And I so appreciate you for getting up early. Go enjoy the rest of your week. Go enjoy the rest of your off season. And then let's get after it. I'm excited to watch the Panthers this year, man.
Awesome. I appreciate you. Thanks for the opportunity to just share about what we're doing and some of the things in my life too. Just it's really cool to just remember where I came from. So, but and you enjoy some time off too, man. Get
Oh,
off of
I
the
am.
microphone, get your headphones off, and
I know. I know. All right. Dave Canales, awesome stuff as always. The season with Peter Schrager, bringing you another great one. Coach, good luck this season, man.
hey, thanks a lot. Talk soon.